Good day, ma'am. I am Lady May Patac, a BSHM 2A student, and for today, our topic is about organization for sales and advertising. Why sales are important? Sales are said to be the lifeblood of a business. Certainly, without sales, which means orders, a company cannot continue in business very long. The continuance primarily depends on the orders that the sales department gets. The only way by which a business can sustain itself year in and year out is by making sales and collecting money from these sales. Selling those not mean merely taking orders, it means digging up possible users of products or services and persuading them to buy. The very importance of selling or the sales department is manifested during periods of depressed business conditions. Example, when it is difficult to get orders or to find buyers of the products or service. When business drops off due to a decline of sales, factories close, workers are laid off, and this persists until business gets better, meaning until the company's salesmen will find it easier to get orders. Marketing functions. In the marketing of industrial, commercial, and consumers' goods, certain inescapable tasks must be performed. These tasks are called marketing functions. These functions are buying, selling, transportation, storage, standardization, finance, risk taking, and the providing of market information. So buying this involves the selection of the kind of goods to be bought and the determination of the quality desired as well as the proper quantity needed for the specified purposes. The buyer also must select the sources of the goods that he wants. Selling. An important characteristic of a capitalistic economy is speculative production, the manufacture of goods before orders for them are received. Manufacturers produce the things that they think consumers will want and they try to sell them. For example, toy manufacturers produce their line of Christmas produce months before the holiday selling season opens. They hope that the consumers will like and buy the things they have made. Selling can be divided into three parts. First is the personal selling, the advertising, which has been called impersonal selling, and sales promotion, which includes those activities that supplements personal selling and advertising. Transportation. Goods must be transported in most instances from the places where they are produced to the places where they will be consumed. Transportation has a dual duty to perform. Goods must be taken to the places where they are wanted when they are wanted. This function involves the use of railroads, waterways, motor trucks, pipelines, and airplanes. 4. The storage. Storage is another essential marketing function. In many lines of business, goods are produced considerably in advance of the time of sale, and consequently they must be stored for varying periods of time. The manufacturer, the wholesaler, and the retailer all stores goods to some extent. Hence, all of them perform the storage function. Although many business firms have the facilities for storing their own goods, others hire the facilities of storage warehouse companies. Many of these issue warehouse receipts to the stores as evidence of the reset of and custody over the stored goods. 5. Standardization. The development of maintenance of standard is of value in helping buyers and sellers to transact business in an intelligent and helpful manner. There may be standards of quantity such as weights and measures and container and can sizes, or standards of quantity which are concerned with such differences in goods as grade, substances, wearability, reliability, and serviceability. So market finance, handling of any economic goods in a capitalistic system calls for a method of financing. If the goods are paid for immediately, the buyer must provide the necessary funds, which may be either his own or those that he has borrowed. If payment is postponed, the seller extends credit to the buyer for a period of time and thus temporarily assume the burden of financing the transaction. 7. Market risk. The mere act of owning goods carries with it the inescapable burden of assuming certain risks in the connection with them. These risks arise from the following possibilities. 1. The goods may be damaged or destroyed in some manner. 2. They may deteriorate and become unusably useless. 3. They may be stolen. 4. The price may move unfavorably. 5. The goods may be rendered obsolete by new invention or style. When goods are sold on credit, the seller assumes a risk even though he no longer owns the goods because the buyer may not pay what he owes. 8. Market information. If the businessman hopes to achieve success in the face of the rugged competition that is characteristic of many fields, he must have market information upon to be based his decisions. This information covers such topics as prices, the extent of the market, location of the market, consumer preferences, the character of the demand, and the condition of supply. Place of the sales department in the organization. In manufacturing, mining, transportation, and other similar enterprises, the activity of selling is on a par with other major activities. As earlier stated, it is one of the two most important business functions, the other being manufacturing or production. As such, it should have equal voice in the determination of all major policies related to quality and type of production produced, to methods of distribution, to terms of sales, and to all other activities that exerts influence upon sales. The ultimate success of any business depends upon the ability of the business to sell its products or services. The modern business society is a highly competitive one and calls for an exercise of good salesmanship. Success in selling depends a great deal on the quality of the product and the price at which it can be sold at a profit. But many good products properly priced will not have consumers' acceptance because of faulty sales and management. Effective selling goes hand in hand with the intrinsic worth of the good being sold. The sale organization. The sales organization should be developed to meet the specific needs of the enterprise. The organization structure, however, is influenced by many factors, among which are the nature of the product, the nature of the market itself, the marketing plan, the outgrowth of customers or tradition, the size of the company and volumes of sales. 6. The organizational philosophy of the top management. Nature of the product. The company should choose the type of organization best suited to market the product. For instance, industrial or producers' goods are often sold direct to the customers or with a minimum of channels of distribution and therefore required a smaller sales organization to distribute the same volume. Many types of business goods are technically in character, thus required an engineer consultant to sell them. A soft drink may require a big advertising and promotion department. A highly styled item such as women's ready-to-wear garments usually calls for the selection of only one or a few distributors in a community, while the sales policy for a branded commodity is formulated to secure wide distribution. Nature of making south. The nature of the market south influences the type of sales organization somewhat in the same manner as the nature of the product. The market for consumers' good is a broad one. The market for producers' good is more restricted. Therefore, a manufacturer who would sell his product in both markets would likely adjust his sales force on a functional basis to meet the various conditions that might arise. High quality and high price items have a limited market. Therefore, the sales organization is built and trained accordingly. However, a company desiring to manufacture product for two distinct markets, the high price and the low price, may have two separate sales organizations. Customs and tradition. Customs or tradition is influential in determining the channel to be used for marketing the product, and the particular channel suggests certain types of sales organization. Certain companies break with customs and select channels they deem best, and which are particularly noticeable in the frequent attempts to fit organization to the capacity of available sales personnel. For example, if the logical sales manager is deficient in certain aspect of his job as estimating future sales possibilities, although he is superior as a leader of the sales force, a separate sales research and sales budgeting division may be established. A company with traditional channels of distribution may come up with a new product which is cannot trust to the old channels. The company may feel that the usual channels lack the aggressive selling effort needed to push the new products. Hence, it may break with tradition and shape its sales organization accordingly. The size of the company. The size of the enterprise and its sales volume have much to do with the organization of the sales force. The small enterprise may have no separate sales research, advertising or promotional department, whereas the large enterprises may have these departments attached to the parent organization and may also have similar departments for the respective operating division. Essential function of selling effort. Making sales does not mean merely taking orders. It means locating more and more possible users of the product or services and persuading them to buy. Selling may be divided into three functions, namely, finding out what people want and need, finding people who want or need it, and getting orders from them. All these functions are concerned with people as potential customers. All sales efforts with the customers. Some authorities claim that every consideration of business starts with the customers. It is necessary then to find out what the customer wants and give it to him. The other question is what human need it's that is not already satisfactorily supplied. The question implied not that a brand new product must be found, but that if present available products or services do not meet the customer's needs, perhaps an improved product or service will do so. Channels of distribution. By channel of distribution are meant the steps by which products are distributed from the producer or manufacturer to the customer. It refers the course followed in the transfer of title to goods. In case, however, of enterprises that render services rather than manufacture articles, the product is almost always sold directly to customers, but the manufacturers, the selection of the proper channels of distribution is very essential. Changes in buying habits, transportations, communications, and market locations have modified method of distribution greatly during recent years. The work of the various channels makes more efficient the marketing function. We may examine the work according to the following path that the flow of goods may take: through jobbers, direct to retailers, direct to customers, through brokers or agents. Through jobbers. The jobber assemble the products from many factories, stores them and sell them to retailers. In so doing, the jobbers assume risk of price fluctuation, ob- obsolescence or damage and non-payment of credit extended to customers. The jobbers also sort and ship products according to the retailer's need. Direct to retailer. Direct distribution by the manufacturer to the retailer has some distinct advantages, which may be follows. First, the manufacturer is able to ascertain better the customer's desires through first-hand contact with the first point of sales, which is the retailer. Second, the manufacturer exercises more control over the final sales of his goods as he has direct contact with the retailer. He builds his own personal relationship and goodwill, and has better opportunity to influence retail prices, display, and other factors that affects the popularity of his product with the customers or consumer. Third, reduced selling expenses are affected if goods are sold to retailer rather than jobbers who warehouse the goods first and later repack or ship same to the retailer. Direct to consumers. This channel of distribution is needed for the product which requires a high degree of technical training of salesmen in order to sell it, and when services must be rendered in connection with the product after it is sold. For example, this method is employed by the manufacturer of office equipment such as typewriters, adding machines, and others, the salesman of which must have ability to operate them in order to be able to sell and to provide repairs and reconditioning after the sales, otherwise the customers may become satisfied. For similar reasons, most industry equipment is sold decently to users. It is difficult for the jobber or retailer to have men with sufficient training to sell and serve such products satisfactorily. Manufacturers Manufacturers of many types of customers' goods have used the direct-to-consumer method to some degree. For example, manufacturers of such articles as brushes, hosiery, and medicine use the direct-to-consumer method through brokers or agents. The broker usually performs only one major function of distribution. Example, selling. In contrast with a jobber, the broker or agent usually sells only one type of product. The broker must frequently handles the distribution of products and goods at the same time, which with consumers' goods but in lesser degree. For example, a broker or agent is usually extensively in the distribution of farm products, notably livestock and fresh fruits and vegetables. The reason is that the farmer does not have economical means of reaching the wholesaler of such products. Thus, it becomes customary for him to consign them to a local broker or agent who in turn sells them to the jobber who distributes them to retailers. Kinds of goods. The sales manager may handle the marketing of product, producers' goods, and consumers' goods. Producers' goods, often called industrial goods, are those goods used in the further production of other goods. Consumers' goods are sold to ultimate consumer for their own use. Producers' goods are divided into raw materials such as iron ore, lumber, cotton, chemicals, and agricultural products. Fabricated parts such as the spare part used in the assembly of automobiles, radios, refrigerators, and other appliances. Equipment such as machinery, conveyors, office equipment, and the like, and the supplies which are goods needed in the production but which do not enter into the product itself. The market for the producers are industrial goods is a concentrated one. There is a limited number of buyers, but when they buy, they do so in large individual purchases. Technical considerations are prone to come in when buyers decide to buy producers' goods. The demand for these goods is derived from the demand of consumer for the goods which are made from producers' goods. Consumers' goods are divided into in the classification system based on customers' behavior. Goods can be separated into four categories: convenience goods, shopping goods, specialty goods, and soft goods. So, convenience goods are those that consumers want to buy immediately with minimum shopping effort. Example, where the BC customers feels she stand to gain little from making price and quality comparisons. Examples are cigarettes, soap, drugs, newspaper, magazine, chewing gum, candy, and most grocery products. Convenience goods can be further classified into three subtypes, again, primarily on the basis of how customers think about products and buy them. These subclassifications are staples, impulse goods, and emergency goods. This function finds out what customers want and need. It seeks to satisfy the desire of buyers. It determines the kind, form, style, and quality that the goods of the sold should possess. 2. Contactual function. This refers to the task of seeking out and locating buyers when salesmen go from establishment to establishment looking for buyers who may want their goods, they are engaged in these functions. 3. Demand creation. This is essentially the task of advertising. Selling is not involved merely in satisfying existence needs. It also creates new desires and demands. 4. Negotiation. The seller must negotiate with the buyer on quality, quantity, shipment, payment, and other incidentals of the sale. There has to be a meeting of the minds. Contractual. The seller transfers title over his goods to the buyer. This is done through a contract, whether verbal or written. Advertising. So, advertising is defined as any paid form of non personal presentation and promotion of ideals, goods, or services by an identified sponsor. This definition involves four key elements: paid form, non personal presentation, ideals and services, as well as goods, and an identified sponsor. Advertising is an integral factor in modern merchandising. Its motive is to create demand for a particular product or services. Advertising especially strives to present the item advertised in a favorable light. For instance, advertising carried by the trade association seeks to foster the demand for the product of the industry represented by the association. Advertising is attributed to have certain specific purposes. The primary purpose is to bring the company and its products quickly and favorably to the attention of the consumers who may not be reached by the salesman in the reasonably short time. The secondary purpose is to pave the way for salesmen, and the third purpose is to create goodwill towards the company. So that could be all. Thank you and God bless.